Hey guys, today we are in Squamish on a black trail called Entrails, and there is a confusing section, there's different lines, so we're gonna check all of them from the easiest one to the hardest one. Entrails is on Trail Fork. It's on the Alice Lake area. I will put a link on the description so you can have more information. But it's a black trail, it's about 1.6 kilometers long, and I guess it's one of the most ridden trails in Squamish. In order to get to Entrail, you pedal up to Rupert, you pass Treasure Trail, keeps on pedaling. You get a little climb at the end, and then that's where starts the downhill. So downhill is a single track the entire time. You basically have some nice corner towards the top, then a little rock garden that can be quite awkward. You got to be careful with your line, it's easy to flat. After that, you got a little flat section that turns into an uphill. It's pretty technical, it's hard to carry speed. And after that, you end up into that open section quite fast, a bit steep with a bunch of roots, and you finish where I am right now, which is what we call the highland, and there is several lines. So we're gonna go over all of them and yeah, go from the easiest one to the hardest one. We're now gonna see the first line. So basically when you're on the trail, the main line sends you right. So where I am right now, there's that little berm and you want to take the first left. It's easy to miss. Why? Because there is a nice berm, you come quite fast on the trail, and it's easy to go a bit too fast and miss the corner. So you really want to slow down before, use the bird and set up to make a nice left-hand corner. The key for that first line is really to be able to control your speed early, especially on that berm. It's really easy to go too fast because you get some support and some grip for your tires. So you want to manage your speed here so you can make sure you can line up correctly for the rest of the line. As you can see, there is a bunch of off-camber routes, especially right now it's slippery. So you want to make sure you kind of off the brake, make yourself light, and really pick up the best line to successfully make it to the bottom of the line. On that last section of the line, you got that slippery rock face here and a double compression. You really want to manage your speed here to avoid to getting bucked on that compression. So you really want to have the correct body position, roll nicely, and control your speed before the corner, because the corner can come quite fast. Another thing, obviously, it's true for this line, but for every other line, you really want to anticipate. So you want to look ahead when you're on that rock face so you can see the exit and the corner, and so you can line up correctly, set up nicely on the corner, and just finish the trail with a good exit speed. On that first line, if it's a bit too easy for you, there's a little challenge. You can make a right-hand corner onto the rock face, and there is that tree on the left, and there's a very steep rock face. You want to make sure your pedals are really level, and you kind of up into it and go really far back behind your rear tire so you don't go over the bar. And just, you have to manage the compression at the bottom. It can be a little bit rough, and really look ahead in order to exit the corner correctly. You got that steep rock face. Once you've managed the rock, you manage the compression, you get that pile of rock behind me, and you can either go left or right. Basically, if you choose right, which is the inside, it's a bit straighter, it's a bit less distance, but the only issue is that you don't have a burn at the bottom, so you have to make a flat corner and it can be pretty slippery. Or you can get directly onto the outside and use the berm, which is really cool because you can come really fast and really have something to support your tire, get some speed, and get a nice compression that's gonna give you a lot of speed for the rest of the trail. So it's easier, and for me it's a little bit more fun. Now let's jump onto the second line. So we have the first line here, the second line is behind me. I personally don't like the second line. It's not any faster, it's not much fun, but many people come a bit too fast and miss the first line and go straight to the second line. So yeah, let's check it. Basically for that line, the cool thing is that you can come pretty fast, and if you can't make it the first line because you overcooked it, you can still end up on that second line and still save the rest of the trail. The only thing you have to be careful is there is a bunch of off-camber routes, so you want to manage your speed before, kind of be a little bit off the brakes on the off-camber routes, and really look ahead because that next corner comes really fast. As you can tell, the line behind me is a little bit awkward, a bunch of off-camber rocks, off-camber roots. But one thing really to notice is that in addition of being like kind of awkward to get into, it's really hard to exit it because you basically come and it's a 90-degree right-hand corner. Even though there is a berm, you don't carry much speed. It's not really nice to ride. So that's why I don't really love that line. As we just saw, the two first lines go right, but behind me you got that big tree, and as you can see, there's a piece of trail that goes left. So in order to check the three next line we're gonna do that are the most advanced line, you want to be on the left of the tree and just stay off the main trail to the left. So just right there we have the third line, which is one of the most fun to ride. I think it's called the chute. So basically it's a natural toboggan, lots of people ride it, so lots of erosion. It's a bunch of roots and a big tree at the bottom, which is actually nice because that allows to catch the dirt, and that allows you to slow down, break your speed, and make a nice right-hand corner and set up for the left to go back on the main trail. For the chute, the easiest approach is the left-hand side. Not as many people ride it. There is less roots, less rocks. The dirt is actually better, so you can control your speed a little bit more. You can also come straighter where my feet are. But as you can tell, there is more stuff on the ground, and the exit is a little bit more bumpy, so that makes you pick up a little bit more speed on the chute, so it's harder to control afterwards. Because it's steep, managing your speed is gonna be key. Why? Because you don't want to go too fast toward the bottom, as you don't want to jump off the trail. You really are gonna be able to manage your speed on top, where I am, but also at the bottom where the tree is. Once you are on the chute itself, it's really hard to control the speed. So naturally you're gonna pick up more speed. So manage your speed as much as you can on top and really at the bottom. As you can tell, a bunch of people ride this line. There's a lot of erosion, so there's a natural toboggan, but all the dirt kind of slides here, so the dirt is really good here. So even though you can pick up a little bit too much speed on top, you can really slow down here. In addition, that makes a compression, so you can use that little natural berm to really slow down and set up for your left-hand corner and join back the trail. Now we're gonna check the fourth line, which is actually, I believe, the fastest one and my favorite line. You can come down pretty much straight down. You hop over that little root behind me, and you're gonna shoot towards the end of that rock face onto an angle and go straight down. This line is the most intimidating one because there is obviously some exposure. Also because there is that root right there that's completely off camber, and it's just before the actual feature. So if you slide above there, you might crash at the bottom, which will not be really fun. So what I do is that I lift my front wheel above it and my rear wheel as well, so I avoid sliding. And once I'm there, I've controlled my speed. I just let go and pick up quite a lot of speed on that feature and go back on the brake a bit later on the trail. Once you're there, I don't drop perfectly straight. I drop slightly onto the left just to join back the track and just be a bit smoother, and use the berm at the bottom to really catch me if I go too fast. As you can tell, that feature is super off camber. It's wet, it's slippery, there's some moss on the rock. So one of the key point for me to ride it successfully is to really manage my speed when I'm on top of the rock, and then let go during the feature. So all this part pretty much brake less, and then go back on the brakes after in order to control my speed. For that last line, same entrance, you come, but you make a 90-degree right-hand corner. Where I am, you make a 90-degree left-hand corner, and then you point straight down the trail, which is basically just a rock face. It's completely blind. Control as much as you can your speed. You go as slow as you can, you creep into it, and then you kind of roll down the rock face and pop just the last bit. I believe the hardest part of this line is really those roots. It's off camber. It's actually quite steep. It's really slippery, especially right now because it's wet. So it's really hard to control your speed, and once you're there, you can no longer stop. So you really want to go as fast as you can, because the rock being so steep, you don't want to drop it. It will be like too much of a drop. You want to really go as slow as you can, creep down, and pop just the last bit. So your key is really gonna be able to slow down as much as you can here, go as slow as you can down the rock, and really go as far as you can behind your seat and pop just the last bit at the right moment. It's not an actual drop. You can almost roll everything. So I roll about 2/3 of the rock face and then pop just the last bit, and I try to catch that transition right here, just so it's actually much smoother on the bike and on the body. But you still need to be aware there is a big compression, so you need to be strong on your arms, have the bike well set up. And one thing very important, and that works for every single line we've seen here or elsewhere, just really look ahead, because the trail after makes, you know, a couple of corners and there's a couple of rocks sticking out. So you really want to look ahead to anticipate and have a good line. Okay, and to finish, I'm just gonna show you the rest of the trail. Up. Some little corner here. Oh, definitely took the wrong line here. Then you can cut inside. Oh, it's really slippery today. The rain definitely didn't help. Oh, slide everywhere. Some little pedaling here. Get to that little bridge. And then a famous feature that many of you know. I think it's called the whale tail, something like that. You can go high. Nice. Up, little double here. And then trail keeps on going up there. Thanks for watching. That was 5 lines and a half you can do on the island of Entrails. Let me know in the comment below what feature you want me to be doing next, and see you on the trail, see you on YouTube.